Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today I want to do world event with a shitty team because it comes up a lot. People on my Discord, people on Twitter messaging me, talking about it online that, oh man, did you see the world event right now? So bad. How are people hitting 1,000,000 points? Well, I haven't tried yet, and that's the most important part, but I'm going to be trying it basically live for you guys so you can see how I would play with a bad team. So I want to give you a couple of tips before we start. I've probably given these tips before in the last video that I made on World Event when it first came out, but that's, a couple updates ago now, and it does feature some characters that I like that are, kind of underrated in a way. Karnak and Inferno, I was going to combine them there. But the first tip I would give you, and the one that I do most of the time, is I always look at the cards. I look at the cards because your cards and your alliance bonus will not affect this game mode. So you will not be able to cap out your ignore defense, and you most likely won't be able to cap out your cooldown either, unless the character for some reason had like 8 6-star cooldown, skill cooldown, Uru, and some crazy cooldown ISO 8 set. So it's just not happening. So I do this, and so I see, okay, 32%. If I had a 24% cooldown leadership like Agent 13 or Iron Hammer or Iron Man, then I would slap that on, because you want max cooldown. You want to be able to spam your skills as much as possible. In general, the enemies in World Event don't have very high HP, and they don't have very high defense, so you don't need to go with a damage leadership. I see a lot of people trying to go damage leadership. Now in this case, we're basically screwed, because Inferno's leadership is fire resist, her leadership is physical defense, so we're basically only given one option, which is Karnak, and which is the all speed. I love the thematic bonus of them all being Inhumans, but it would be a really cool bonus for World Event if they would give you additional items or additional resources or possibly additional buffs if you also had these characters at tier 2. So I think it's something for them to consider. I don't really look at the builds much anymore. I was planning on playing with Inferno anyways. I think he has the most AoE and the most damage overall out of the 3, but none of them have damage procs either, which is basically the only other thing you look for. You look for the damage proc. That's not happening, so we gotta go with your boy Inferno. So I'm gonna hit ready, I'm gonna jump in, but we are using Karnak's leadership because at the very least it's gonna give us 9% all speed. It's not the best buff in the world, obviously it's pretty bad, but it's better than nothing. So we're going to start off. It doesn't matter if we get hit by the lightning at first because it's not going to take away our score, but we're basically just going to try to deal damage as much as we can. Later on, when we get a little bit closer to 1,000,000, because that's what we're going for, we are going to try to group them up, but for now, we just want to get through this because these first few waves just don't give a lot of points. So you want to get through them quickly. You obviously don't want to lose any points, because at this stage losing points is really going to hurt, but you also don't want to play too passively and lose out on that precious time to get to a higher stage. So it's an interesting kind of play where you have to play aggressively, but you also have to play with some patience and some level of restraint. Now, an interesting thing that you can do, and it's something that I'm doing right now because I'm unfamiliar with Inferno's attacks and kind of how long he takes for all of his animations, I'm leaving the 4th skill open. And why I'm doing that is because it's an iframe skill, and so I can leave that iframe skill open, and I can use that as kind of an escape tool in case I'm about to get hit by an attack. Now, either the red marked attacks by the robots, or of course the red marked attacks at the bottom of the screen there will cause me to lose points. So both of those I need to keep in mind of and keep track of. Basically the only difficult attacks to dodge once you get onto the later stages are Ultron's attacks. His attacks are actually quite difficult to block, and some of the other ones later on from the ninja guy, but I don't think we're going to even get close to the ninja guy. But yeah, Ultron, oh my, and we just lost 9,000 points because we didn't dodge Ultron. Here, my tip for you is just run into them, run into the robots so they explode, and then go into the next wave. The robots give very little XP per kill, so you don't want to waste time trying to kill them. You can also, if you do know the character very well, you can try to use a movement skill to get out of the way. So kind of like Inferno's 3rd skill there, he spins. But what I do for the robots is I just run to them to trigger their... Oh my god, I got hit. That was so stupid. Anyways, I run to them to trigger their explosion so that I can then... what? How did I get hit? So that I can then go get through it faster. I'm not playing very well right now, but this is kind of the price you pay when you play with a bad team. And we're trying to... Ooh, we carefully dodged him there. You know what I should have done? I should have kept up the... I should have kept up the team-up skill. Because the team-up skill is going to give you additional damage and additional protection. Can you just please die? There we go. Okay, so we're at 997. So basically all we have to do at this point is just play very, very carefully. We just hit 1 million and we just need to play No! Yes. First try. We nailed the 1 million score mark. That was so close. You just have to play carefully. But it's so difficult at that point with a character like Inferno because not only will you take damage and lose points from these circles, but you'll also take damage and lose points if those ranged attacks, those kind of, they look like gas flamethrowers or like poison flamethrowers, if they hit you. For whatever reason, those attacks also hit you. So you can stand in the middle and you can dodge a lot of them, but they will move towards you after the first kind of instance of attacking, and then they will be able to hit you if they get closer, and you'll kind of be boxed in. So one strategy is to go to the middle and wait and then let them come in and then use an AoE attack. But I knew for Inferno, in Inferno's case, he doesn't have any AoE attacks that are going to cut it. So in that case, I just had to go around on the outside. There are some really fun characters that can clear those kind of circular summons really well, like Deadpool's 4th skill. He kind of just chops all his way through. But we got it. We nailed 1 million points, and we're probably one of the only players that are able to do that because, as you can see, the world event battle grade is only around a 7. So most players are actually not getting the maximum score. They're not getting a 10 on the battle grade, which means they're only getting about 600 to 800 score. The other thing I want to point out to you guys, which is something that it happens pretty frequently, hacking or cheating. And if you look up there at the current MVP Hideout, no offense to Hideout, but there's no way he got 2.7 million points. Inferno just doesn't do enough damage to get that many points, and I guarantee you, or I almost can guarantee you, if you look up his account, you're not going to be very impressed. He's probably hasn't been playing for very long, and there's almost no way that he has that intimate of a grasp on the character to be able to score that high. Not only is the character just not functionally able to put out enough damage to kill enough enemies to get to 2.7 million, I barely hit 1 million, and let's say my play is not amazing, but it's, you know, average. I think the best Inferno player maybe hits 1.5 million, maybe 1.6 million. This dude's clearly 1 million over that. That's just kind of the nature of any mobile game. You're always going to have hackers. You're always going to have people trying to circumvent things and trying to get their name up there to be, you know, #1. And so I don't like talking about it because I don't want to give those players more attention, because that's exactly what they want. That's exactly what dodos and dumbasses like Hideout want. So if you're listening, you're an idiot. But it happens. So there's really nothing else you can do about it. It's unfortunate. It doesn't happen all the time. It's a lot less frequent with the good days where the players can actually score very high. I think the maximum score is just under 4 million if you kill all of the waves and you don't ever get hit. But when it comes to bad days, you know, some players just feel frustrated and they're scoring like 100,000 because they suck at the game and they, you know, whatever. So they decide they're going to cheat, and then they're going to manipulate their score. Finally, once you've done that, you kind of get your agent tokens. This wasn't meant to be informative in terms of what to do with your agent tokens, but I've honestly been running out of kits rather than tokens. I really like World Event, but I really think that Netmarble needs to look at making it more than just a vehicle for this agent badge, agent kit kind of thing. I think that the game mode has the possibility of being so much more, and I think that, you know, Netmarble really, they're not very good at embracing game modes with multiple different rewards. They really like to just make a game mode and make one reward for it and never change the reward. But I really think that World Event is you know, rather than letting it get like Giant Boss Raid, and Giant Boss Raid is a perfect example. The rewards have never changed. They've been buffed, but they've never changed. And so players have just basically made up their mind. I'm either going to grind I'm either going to grind Giant Boss Raid because I need this, or I'm never going to play this game mode. And that's not what you want out of game modes, because then it makes it a very polarizing game mode, and it divides the player base. Do you love Giant Boss Raid because you really need these, because you love PvP? You're playing it all the time, even if you don't like it. But for everybody else, they're just completely ignoring it. And I feel as though World Event is kind of on that same track as Giant Boss Raid. Now, it's never going to be as ignored as Giant Boss Raid because it's a lot faster. You know, it's 3 minutes, it's never longer, whereas Giant Boss Raid can last 10 minutes. And obviously it gives you a buff that you can apply to your global character, you know, to all of your characters, so that's obviously very important. But the other problem is that there's just not enough incentive with any other rewards. So I really think, sorry to make this kind of like a rant at the end, but I really think that Netmarble should look at rotating rewards for both of these game modes, but especially for world events. Really fun. They could have a week of gold rewards where you just get gold and people could farm up more gold. You could have a week of just, you know, gear up kit, like beginner stuff, gear up kits and dimension debris. So veterans would ignore it, but new players would really, you know, be interested in playing it. And then you could have a week where it's more veteran-based materials. Obviously, new players are still going to want what the veterans need, but it'll be more geared towards them, like, let's say, Tier 3 materials or something like that. I know that Netmarble's super stingy when it comes to giving out rewards, but I really just don't want to see game modes like World Event and Giant Boss Raid not die, but become kind of stale, because the rewards are just day in, day out the exact same thing. And that's what keeps game modes like World Boss and Shadowland fresh, because they have some static rewards, but they have some variable rewards like the booty boxes and like the Shadowland chests, and also the choosable rewards from Shadowland, where you have options. You can choose, do I want the Black Antimatter? Do I want the Chaos Nornstones? Do I want the Obelisk, the ISO, or the custom gear? And you can kind of build your own Shadowland rewards. So I really think Netmarble should look closer at Giant Boss Raid, and especially World Event for that. But with that being said, I'm actually a little bit sweaty on the elbows after playing that, after getting that 1 million. Let me know what you guys think of the World Boss. Subscribe if you enjoy the content and you want to support me. And of course, if you like what you see, I hope to see you again later today. Take care.